Excellent. So hello and welcome to the New Gig podcast. I'm your host, Glen Hodgson. And today I'm delighted to be joined by the founder of Remote Ukraine, Iman Fadaei. How are you doing, Iman? You good?
Thanks, Glenn. I'm very well. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. And really want to hear a little bit about your background, but also the Remote Ukraine initiative. Really important at an absolutely crucial time. So please give us a little bit of background and what you're doing at the moment.
Sure. So a bit of background about myself. I run an HR software company called Talent Pools, and we make it very easy for people to create their own online talent platform. So the reason why I got into this project, originally it was called Remote Ukraine, now it's called Employ Ukraine, is that my CTO for my startup is Ukrainian. He's still based in Ukraine, going through some very difficult times like many of his compatriots, and we wanted to do something to help. We are still quite a small company, so we don't have a huge amount of funds, but the resources that we do have is our expertise in online talent matching. So we used our tech to quickly spin up this website, employukraine.org.
Yeah.
And it's very simple. We take Ukrainians looking for a job, whether they're working remotely internally within Ukraine or whether they're refugees who fled Ukraine and they're looking for in-person jobs throughout the world. And we match them with employers, well-meaning employers who want to do something to help and they have open vacancies. And we match those jobs with those roles. And we do the best we can to create as many jobs as possible.
Absolutely excellent. And what kind of jobs and services are we looking at here, man? Is it really a broad range of online and offline? Is there any typical roles, or is it really a very broad assortment?
Well, originally it was focused on remote roles, so it was a lot of software gigs. But now in the last month or so, we've completely spread out to all of the standard occupational categories. It's very broad. We have people from orchestra conductors to nurses to metal workers to hospitality, catering, etc. So there's no limitation on who can post the job and what type of job it can be. Around 50% of jobs are still remote, which is good because obviously if you're a refugee and you're on the go, it's useful to have a remote job. Yes. And also if you're still in Ukraine, it's useful to have a remote job as well.
Yeah.
But of the 50% that are in-person jobs, half of those employers are covering to some extent relocation costs as well.
Okay. Yeah. This is interesting. And it's, something that's been brought out of necessity and a tragic situation, but also fundamentally addressing some needs in the labor markets across Europe as well. There is a shortage of skills, knowledge, and expertise that needed to be filled and met too.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, we find this in my startups, business as well. A lot of employers, in any case, are looking for a different, demographic. Some older workers, also certain pools of talent that was previously not utilized effectively, students or recent refugees, and obviously in our use case there are 3.5 million Ukrainians who are now refugees and 6.5 million internally who've been forcibly displaced. So there's a massive available talent pool available to meet those business needs.
Absolutely. And how many people are we talking about here? How many people involved from both these kind of the job seeker, project seeking side, but also the companies and organizations who are involved on the other side of the matching process?
Right. So the project has been live for about 2 months now.
Yeah.
And we have 2,500 employers, really from 100 different countries. So it's been very much been a global response to this crisis. They include your Amazon, Microsoft, Dell, SAP, Unilever, etc. And then many smaller businesses and family-owned businesses as well. And then on the candidate side, there are over 11,000 both refugees and internally displaced Ukrainians, and some people who are in Ukraine as well. You know, if you are, Bangladeshi or Nigerian citizen, but you are studying or working in Ukraine, you're also eligible to use the platform as long as you can prove that standing. So it's really anybody who's been forcibly displaced, to use the UN's term, as a result of the war. And of those employers, there are about 3,500 jobs that have been posted. 30% of which are looking for more than one candidate. So there's a lot of available positions now on the platform. There have been around 5,000 job applications. We know of at least 20 people who've been hired, but because our system is completely open, completely free, anyone could just go on the platform, say, here's my number, and then contract off the platform. So we only know about the people who tell us. We assume there's a significantly higher number of people who've matched and, we're not aware of.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And, has there been any barriers that you've encountered to this, over the past 2 months, that the service and the opportunities that you're creating have been live? Is there anything that you've been has been put in your way to prevent this happening?
So there are a number of different points here. One is, organizational difficulties. The next is areas outside of the job matching, and then there's the job matching piece. So I don't know how much time you want me to spend on this, but internally, please, with the organization,
let us know what are the barriers, what are the sort of the spanners in the works that have been created to allow this to go work.
I'll tell you about my spanners. So this is just an individual initiative that I've created. There's me, 2 full-time employees and 3 part-time employees in our team. So one has just been resourcing. So, we're not a funded company. We're just still bootstrapped. So it's costing a lot of money to pay for my staff and cover technical costs, aside from our tech, which obviously is basically free, just to keep the project going. So now I'm trying to get some financing sorted through encouraging employers to make some totally voluntary donations, of course, that they may normally pay let's say a recruiter for finding a candidate. If they could pay a portion of that to us, that would really help cover our costs. And then there's resourcing in terms of people. So we've solved that problem by reaching out and posting some voluntary roles. And there's a lot of people now. There's about 30 people who are spending like 1 hour a week or more supporting the campaign in a number of different ways, whether that's focusing on a particular country like France or Germany, or a particular area like media or PR. That's internal. Then we've got the external spanners, which are just in general people who are looking for jobs and they don't speak English. What do we do? So again, we're using tools like Google and AWS Translate to translate Ukrainian CVs into English and translate English jobs into Ukrainian, and then do matching, kind of Boolean matching and text strings matching, and provide a match score in a common language. So there's some kind of translation issues. And then there are some external challenges as well. For example, once someone's found a job, do you have to wait a couple of months for the UK to provide them with a visa, or depending on where they're at? And then if they are ready to receive money, where do they receive money if they're in Ukraine? So there are some external challenges as well. But we've got a group of businesses who are contributing towards this progress. And I think the most important thing is, once you found a job, pretty much everything else can be taken care of. Once there's money available, that can solve a lot of problems.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you find that organizations and companies are willing to help, willing to support in this process, Iman, as well, in terms of bringing new people on board to offer the roles and the openings, the vacancies that are required.
Absolutely. And beyond that, there are other organizations who are providing us with support in the by providing free or heavily discounted services like Cloudflare providing network security, and Amazon providing credits, technical credits. And then there is civil society and NGOs like, for example, tent.org, it's a refugee specific organization that helps large organizations by providing guides and bespoke kind of plans on how to integrate refugees within the workforce. So there is very much a business response, a global business response to try and help the situation.
Yeah, I see. So that's good that it's being supported as well. And I think it really sort of shines a light on the matching services more broadly, and how digitalization, remote work can actually offer opportunities, not just in the everyday world, but in really extreme situations where sort of, we've got this extreme conflicts going on, but people still have an opportunity to be able to earn money, earn revenues, and be able to support themselves and their families.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the values of two kind of processes that are happening in the world. One is the digitalization of the workforce in general, and associated with that, there is this switch towards flexible work. So that means that there are more opportunities for people to find work in new ways, whether you're a refugee that's on the move and therefore you need digital and remote work, or different combinations of those things. And that's kind of what our software is built to support, is the matching of relevant roles to relevant candidates.
Excellent. I mean, this is really making the most of the opportunities, making the most of the technology, but using it for a public and societal good to be able to offer opportunities to individuals who need them, but also matching to the talent that exists in a normal situation, but also more broadly in times of extreme hardship and extreme conflict as well. I think this is, if this is a system and a modus operandi that can be tested in the most harsh of situations, then this is something that can benefit everyday society in the same way as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at what we've accomplished in our first 30 days, we had 10,000. We set up a branded talent platform. It reached 100,000 visits, unique visits. 10,000 people signed up from 100 countries. And then just apply that to not only any of the humanitarian crises that happen, but as you say, in normal daily life, there could be a segment of the population within a certain geography that where business needs talent and where there's a pool of talent that is untapped. And you can use technology like ours to be able to identify those two parties and bring them together, and then use tech, the value of tech, to do all the hard bits, which is online profiles and matching and communications and the rest of it.
And I think this is absolutely really the main point here as well, that the traditional recruitment is such a lottery. A lot of the people involved in the recruitment process, these recruitment companies, are very old-fashioned, not very good, and actually what they're delivering is very imprecise matches, which of course leads to all kinds of problems further down the line for both parties. What you're doing is actually taking the pain out of that and using the technology to match and do this in a very efficient and very professional way. So it's really also revolutionizing and disrupting the recruitment sector, something that's very much necessary.
Well, I think they actually work hand in hand. So recruiters are very good at working on the human element and working with people. And you can't replace that with our technology. You still need somebody there to provide support to the candidates and to provide support to the employers. And with the Employ Ukraine project, we actually have people doing both of those roles. And so that's the role of the recruiter, who's able to hold the hand of both parties, understand exactly what their needs are, and then technology adds its value from a technical, from the kind of the matching perspective. But you do need both parts of that to solve the equation effectively. So we do quite a lot of work with recruitment companies both in terms of the talent pools commercial side, but also with Employ Ukraine. So just to give you a concrete example of that, we have several very well-known recruitment companies who are going to be posting tens of thousands of jobs, especially for the Ukrainians on our platform. And they're able to provide that data to us, and we're able to match it effectively with the 10,000 refugees in our system. And we're hoping, obviously, that we can help a significantly larger portion of the 10 million forcibly displaced Ukrainians. But it is important to have the brand, the employer, the recruiter, and the technology and the candidate all part of the same process.
Yes. Yeah. And where do you see this moving over time? It sounds like it's just growing, snowballing in terms of the impact and the effect of what you're doing at the moment. It seems to be really on a very good track and just improving as we go forward.
Well, yeah, I mean, initially we just thought let's put it out there and test it and see if there's any value. If there's no value, then that's fine. It was worth giving it a go. But there obviously has been a very significant response, and so in our site, it's worth trying to see if we can add value to more people. So we've set some internal goals now, which is, can we support 1% of those who are displaced? So that's 100,000 jobs, helping 1% of the 10 million who are displaced. That means posting, 1 million plus jobs. And we are on target to hit that goal if all of the recruiting and the ATS companies that we're now partnering with continue to work with us. There are 1 million jobs out there which can be posted. And on our end, what's special about what we do is we do all the translations into Ukrainian, provide support in Ukrainian, and we support on the matching side with data points that are very relevant to Ukrainian refugees, like, can you support with a visa? Can you provide relocation costs and some other things that differentiate us from the standard job boards out there?
And you're evolving all the time as well to meet the needs of the individuals themselves, as well as the needs of the organizations and the companies that you're working with. And I think this sort of constant, sort of always in beta approach to life, I think is something that's really supportive anyway, and keep adapting to the realities to make these things happen, I think is really strong and really, really positive moving forward as well. So I think all credit and all strength to the initiative that you're so strongly involved in, because I think that one level is that you can support, and I think sort of aid is good, help very specifically, but I think more structurally and more sort of mid to longer term, creating the frameworks, creating the infrastructure to allow people to be able to sort of look after themselves and be able to earn money and everything that goes with that is very, very strong. And I think sort of plays into so many different sectors, which is so powerful.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone can help in a different way, if it's money, if it's jobs, if it's technology, whatever it is. And there's so many people who are contributing in their own ways. And we are very keen to work with those different people, whether those are individuals or brands or associations of people who are coming together, or those who are, as you say, working on building frameworks that can have lasting value for other areas. I've certainly discovered in the last couple of months a few things that I wish existed at the beginning. Just to give you one example. In the UK, it can take months to register a charity, an official charity. And for large organizations who want to donate or who want to be involved with what we're doing, they have internal policies that say if you want to contribute, you have to contribute to a registered organization. It's very difficult to do that if you launch a project 2 days after someone's been invaded. The country's been invaded. So we've had some. So if there were humanitarian funds or other support mechanisms available for initiatives that are responding quickly without getting all the paperwork while the paperwork is in progress. That would be just one idea, but there are many of these needs that we've had over the past couple of months that have inspired me to think about, potential solutions for the next crisis that comes around the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is fantastic, and it's been great that you've been able to spend a few minutes here explaining the solution and the expertise behind this activities, and really all credit, but all sort of best wishes to you in the continuation of the project.
Thanks, Glenn. I really appreciate your time as well and having me to share a little bit about the project. For anyone who's interested, the details are employukraine.org. And you can find all of our contact details at that point.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much indeed. And we shall speak again soon.
Look forward to it.